Appreciate everybody joining us this morning. I'm here with Pierluigi Stella from NetworkBox USA, and I believe we have a pretty, a pretty current topic here. And we have a little catchy title here, Knock Knock, Who's There? SIEM, SOC, and MDR, that's who. Definitely a play on the fact that in the current cybersecurity landscape, bad actors are always trying to get in. They're always looking for a way in, and maybe they're knocking and you just can't hear them. So today's session, we're going to talk SIEM, SOC, and MDR, and basically get rolling and share with you how you can kind of get a piece of SIEM, SOC, and the MDR market. So thanks, Pierluigi, again for sponsoring this educational content. And the first thing we're going to do is kind of remind you of the cybersecurity market opportunity. You're out there in MSP land, partner land, and I'm pretty sure that you understand there is a cybersecurity opportunity out there for you and your business. And I think SIEM is a key component of realizing that market opportunity. So we're going to touch on what is SIEM and why it is critical for MSPs to deliver SIEM-based services. You're gonna hear me share a little bit, like if you use an RMM, you are an MSP, because that's really the start of what an MSP needed to be, and that's remote monitoring and management of assets and devices. And if you're using an RMM and basing managed services that you deliver on an RMM platform, SIEM has to be in your future, or has to be now, whether you're delivering it yourself or partnering with a third party. We're going to talk about SOC, security operations centers, and what an MSP needs to consider when thinking about deploying SOC services. And if you're already doing it, some of the things that perhaps you might be encountering and what might be a better way to go about delivering SOC services to your client. We're going to talk about MDR, managed detection and response, and how it brings SIEM and SOC to life, not only for an MSP, but really for any partner that engages with an MDR provider. You don't have to be an MSP. That's the beauty of what we're going to talk about today, is you can be a reseller of any type and bring MDR to life using SIEM and SOC for your client base. And that's where I'll kind of bring in NetworkBox USA to see how they can accelerate your path to SIEM, SOC, and MDR success, and revenue success, and cost reduction, and pretty much quite a few areas where they could help you be successful delivering cybersecurity services. And then we'll end with some next steps in a Q&A. So let's get started talking about our market opportunity for cybersecurity services. I think it's clear, you're reading the news. Hopefully you're doing some news jacking when you're working with your prospects and your clients and trying to bring cybersecurity to them, because cybersecurity attacks are in the news and bad actors are always knocking on you and your clients' doors. So that does present opportunity. While it's complex and that you're kind of taking advantage of this market opportunity, it is in order to protect your clients. So here we can see the market opportunity in a big number, $259 billion market opportunity by 2025, as shared by Allied Market Research. And that's a huge number, of course, probably an unfathomable number for most of us. I don't even know, what $259 billion looks like. And pretty much whenever I talk about a market opportunity and a market size and a revenue number, I always think of my client base. And that's where I believe you should start. When you see a market opportunity in the bigger ecosystem, the bigger macro market opportunity, you can certainly apply it into your client base and have you achieved your full potential inside your own client base. And that's really where you start looking at any new type of solution or existing solution. If you penetrated your own client base before you go try to reach out to strangers out there that are part of that bigger market opportunity. And really kind of wrapping around those stats, if 68% of business leaders feel their cybersecurity risks are increasing, they're going to be open to listening to not only your message, but your competitor's message. So you definitely want to be speaking cybersecurity. Another great stat, 94% have found it harder to secure cybersecurity coverage, cyber insurance coverage over the last year. basically insurance companies are seeing these attacks, realizing the cost of those attacks, which can, be in the millions of dollars and as little as tens of thousands of dollars. But businesses are under attack and they need cyber insurance to protect themselves and reduce their financial risk. And if they cannot achieve or realize a cyber insurance policy or get that coverage, they're going to be in a bad position if they are to be attacked or get attacked and then have to recover their business. And what we're seeing the stat here, and I've also seen myself, 44% of MSPs have partnered with peers, chiefly MSSPs like NetworkBox USA, to fill in cybersecurity skill gaps. So if you don't have the skills to perhaps secure your client enough where they can secure cyber assurance, or where you can assure them their cybersecurity risk is decreasing, then you do have to look the partnering route, or you do have to build out your internal skill sets and make that happen. And the beautiful thing is 97% of those surveyed that have cyber insurance had to make changes to their cyber defense to improve their cyber insurance position, get a better cost to their cyber insurance policy. And in fact, again, your general business should have cyber insurance, and that alone should take you into any business and be able to have that MSP type conversation around cyber solutions, as well as your typical managed service offerings. And on top of this revenue generated market opportunity and some of those stats, you've got a lot of certifications, regulations, laws out there put out by the US government, as well as best practices that are going to drive cybersecurity services, specifically SIEM, SOC, and MDR services. And one of the key laws out there, one of the key certifications, businesses who work with our military, it's not just the Raytheons of the world and these large organizations, but the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC, really impacts not only DoD contractors, but all the downstream vendors that work with those particular vendors. And it is a question you should be asking, because if you look at some of these highlighted areas, the number one component, or what I like to focus on, creating and retaining system audit logs and records. Very important, and it certainly leads to SIEM services or cybersecurity monitoring and management services, similar to what you're doing with your RMM, and we're going to touch on SIEM, of course, but that alone, if you're working with any business dealing with DoD, you got to work within these kind of processes that are audited by a third party and certifying these organizations, and you can help them meet that certification. You got limiting information systems access, you've got ensuring the access of users can be traced, and all of this comes down to tracking logs and putting in the right cybersecurity systems in order for these organizations to pass their audit for CMMC. You also have a HIPAA, there's laws passed around patient healthcare information, and HIPAA compliance focused on healthcare is another opportunity for you to have a conversation with these healthcare providers about really securing their environment. And again, you can see that implementation of audit controls to record and examine access and other activity in information systems that contain or use patient healthcare information, very important. Again, leading to SIEM-based services, cybersecurity monitoring and management, perhaps SOC services that we're going to touch on, looking at that SIEM and providing notification of anomalies or alerts. And then those MDR, or managed detection and response, to deal with attacks in progress, attacks that are forming, and certainly, unfortunately, after attacks kind of happen. And then in addition to laws and regulations, you've got some basic frameworks out there for best practices like NIST and CIS controls that, as an MSP, if you're following them, you can provide guidelines to your SMB clients, perhaps not in healthcare, perhaps not working with DoD type organizations, and really get them structured properly around cybersecurity and protected And of course, you got GDPR, you got SOC, Sarbanes-Oxley, and PCI DSS, all having components that require cybersecurity solutions to be put in place. So a sizable market opportunity that you can access, not only again in your client base and bringing these services to bear. And if you're already doing it, we're going to hopefully give you some options to consider about how to drive profitability as well as additional revenue, and then going out and getting net new with these services and having these conversations. So we're talking in this next session about what is SIEM and why MSPs need to deliver it. But I am going to ask you to kind of come back in if you're doing something else and respond to this polling question, because it will help kind of drive my conversation here and what I'm sharing, because bad actors are always trying to find a way in. And I'm anticipating many of you out there are MSPs. I can see by the names out here, some of the names that I'm aware of, you are an MSP, you are delivering managed services. So are you currently delivering SIEM services to your client base, SIEM-based services to your client base? And if you are delivering them, are you doing them with internal resources, with a third-party provider? Maybe you're out just looking for a solution, and perhaps this webinar will help you find one. And maybe you're just here to learn more as you start your journey into delivering cyber services or SIEM, SOC, and MDR services into your base. And I appreciate everybody jumping in here and voting, because it will give us some great information. I'll give you one more second to get me one more vote in here. I've got about 60% contributing. And if anyone out there wants to put me over that threshold, I'd appreciate it. It gives us a good number to look at. So are you delivering SIEM services now? So let's close that poll, and we will share it with you and kind of show you that, you know, there are 1/3 of you out there delivering with internal resources, and that's fantastic. I think most MSPs are considering a SIEM solution and monitoring and manage their clients, and whether to do anything in-house. We've got roughly 50% of you partnering with a third-party SIEM, and actually no one's looking for a solution, but we've got 70% looking to learn more. So thanks for those responses. We got another poll question coming up in a bit, and I appreciate you sharing with us. So now that we know kind of what the audience looks like, we know primarily most of you think SIEM services are important and you need to deliver them. Maybe we'll just kind of round out what you're thinking, give you a few more things to think about as well. Maybe a little history. Gartner, who really kind of is out there along with some of these other research arms like Forrester, Canalys, recently acquired by Informa, by the way. I don't know if you're familiar with Canalys, and basically Gartner coined the term 2005 window, combining the terms SIEM and SEM, SIEM for security information management and security event management. And as Gartner has also coined the term SASE, I believe 2019. And I'm from the PSA world, working with Autotask for 12 years and working with ConnectWise as a consultant. You know, I'm very familiar with PSA and consolidating multiple point solutions under one umbrella, making them operate properly. So when you take a SIEM offering and a SEM offering, now you put them together in a SIEM, you're really kind of simplifying the world for whoever is using those tools, reducing complexity, and that's where SIEM really started out. How do I collect logs? And I'm going to collect logs, but what do I do when there's an event or something that I need to react to? And we talked about NIST earlier as a market opportunity and a best practice framework. I always like to bring in other folks to share their definition, so you're not just hearing mine and my perception, but NIST defines SIEM as an application that provides the ability to gather security data from information system components and then present that data as actionable information via a single UI. Now, presenting actionable information means somebody has to take action. We're going to kind of touch on that as we move along, and certainly these next gen SIEMs we're going to touch on not only takes that actionable information and presents it, but in fact can take action. And while SIEM was, like most applications, deployed on-premise on a device, now it's pretty much deployed as a service or in a hybrid model, using the cloud, of course. But the changing cybersecurity landscape not only has affected SIEM technology and taken it to another level, it's obviously affecting everything out there. Every application has to be aware of cyber attacks and how to protect themselves. And SIEM is there, of course, going to that next level as well. And just kind of another market stat, just so you can understand it, the market for SIEM solutions continues to grow, and Markets basically looks at it as a $5.5 billion market by 2025. So the need for continuous monitoring and incident response, adhering to compliance requirements, and gaining and maintaining certifications and managing and maintaining logs are primary factors driving demand. And these are all the services that you as an MSP, you as a service provider, a tech service provider, if you don't like the term MSP, you are delivering for your clients on the infrastructure side. You've been doing it for years. Now you've got to deliver it on the cybersecurity side. So if you look at your infrastructure service and support based on an RMM, you got to have your SIEM dealing with the cyber security environment, infrastructure, logs, and that's this market size growing, and you MSPs need to share in it and become a SIEM user yourself. You're actually part of that market share. So a little quick history on SIEM, but SIEM has been evolving since those early days. And now we're kind of talking about machine learning and artificial intelligence and this real-time correlation of cyber threats. And I see a lot of SIEM solutions out there just looking at the environment that they're protecting right now. And you as an MSP, if your SIEM is just looking at your client's environment, you're really only getting a small piece of the picture. Threat intelligence from global security partners and reputation databases and other SIEM deployments, not only in your client base, but in clients around the world of that particular SIEM vendor or that threat intelligence provider, are real important to provide more data points for collaboration. So ingesting logs from all your devices with an IP address, enriching those logs, and then combining that with threat intelligence is really going to provide ample data for machine learning, AI, and real-time collaboration, looking for anomalies and threats that are forming and that unfortunately you may have already broken some unknown gap in the cyber defense arm. So the SIEM is providing, this next-gen SIEM is not only taking that data, ingesting it, presenting info, but it's really a holistic view across that network, that technology infrastructure that, of course, is producing the logs that are ingested. And one thing I know Pierluigi always kind of stresses, we've seen some MSPs deploy SIEM solutions and only collect logs from Windows workstations and servers, and maybe to save money on data storage, some vendors charge for data. They're only ingesting some of the data logs that they have access to. The reality is you need to collect logs from every device, every, if we can say it simply, with every device with an IP address, but certainly all areas. And I know Pierluigi loves to talk about IDS, identity detection and prevention, that really anyone kind of coming in, you know who's coming in, and really any log is very important to be collected into your SIEM to give that correlation engine time to work. You're also going to see some powerful search facilities looking for events and incidents. Really it's about forensics should an incident happen. So you got to have that data with easy search capability and kind of putting that data into nice real-time reports that you can access and dashboards, not only notifying for security incidents, but potentially taking action depending on your cyber stack and the devices in place. When your SIEM can take action based on what it's saying, that's really, in my opinion, the holy grail. And I do know a lot of SIEMs do not provide pre-configured rules. Some of them provide some pre-configured rules, and that's another key next-gen SIEM offering. I mean, these SIEM providers have been out there working, for as long as they've been in business, and they should know what rules they should be putting in place that can kind of combine with that machine learning, real-time collaboration, and really present information you can action on or that it can action on itself. So next-gen SIEM is what we should be looking at as a community. And some SIEM use cases that are pretty relevant for you to kind of look at, log in and log outs. You know, maybe we've all heard, or maybe some of you have heard, like if a user is based in the United States and they log in from China or Russia, perhaps that's an anomaly and you should be taking a look at that, and you need to be aware of that. Now, that employee could be a traveling or remote worker, moves around. You should know that as you set your rules, but it will raise as an anomaly, and do you actually react to it? User account management. You know, somebody added a new admin, is somebody changing privilege, adding roles, internal network scans, who's executing that? Why is it being executed? What is a user doing? Are they downloading files? Are they uploading files? And kind of moving around the network in an unusual fashion based on their previous behavior. And what services are being used, stopped, and started? Again, key indicators that something is going on. And I'm trying to get here to my app, but looks like I'm seeing the screen here, so I'm going to keep on going. Services being used and stopped, configuration changes, probes by bad actors. There are so many points of entry or access by a bad actor. If somebody's probing a firewall, I'm probing a workstation and trying to log in, and you know, somebody can see this and correlate it. If you're a human, that's going to be pretty difficult. If you're automated and you're a SIEM, it's going to be something that SIEM offering is going to capture. And unfortunately, a SIEM use case is a successful attack, because if it wasn't put together for whatever reason, you're going to be able to go out and execute forensics on those SIEM use cases. So again, some of this, you know, perhaps your RMM is collecting some logs, doing some of these things, log in and log outs, but those are also, those attempts are also put into event logs, security logs that you can consume and ingest into your SIEM. So why do MSPs need to deliver SIEM-based services to SMB clients? And I say SIEM-based services because you probably don't say to your client, hey, I'm delivering RMM services, but you do deliver RMM-based managed services. And that's kind of how I look at a SIEM. It really gives you a platform, a framework that you can go out and either create multiple services, or just call it cybersecurity monitoring and management, and explain what it is. But we talked about regulations, laws, best practice frameworks. We've talked about the fact that your clients are under attack, right? And you need to be protecting your client because you are monitoring and managing the tech infrastructure. It's really the basis of why MSPs came to be. And of course, growth of the internet, growth of connectivity, these attacks have just, you know, grown exponentially. And your clients typically believe you are providing cybersecurity services. And you think maybe from the old days, antivirus, that was really what you did. Maybe other systems started coming in, vulnerability assessment, intrusion detection. And the key here is your clients believe you're doing it. So you either let them know you're not doing it if you haven't been, and if you are doing it, what you are doing and where the gaps are. And the bottom line, if you're delivering those RMM-based managed services, you need to deliver SIEM-based services as managed security services. That will reduce your client's cyber risk. I always like to say you can reduce risk. You can't necessarily eliminate it. Although we look forward to that day when you can eliminate cyber risk, the bottom line is you are protecting your clients and reducing their risk. And I would encourage you to never say you're going to eliminate risk for your clients. And if you can eliminate risk, please let me know and type it into that question box and let me know how you're doing it, or maybe during the Q&A. And ultimately, you know, you are going to generate incremental recurring revenue. And if you're actually delivering these services now, maybe you can increase your profit as you look at your stack, and we're going to kind of touch on that and see how you can generate additional profits based on what you're doing now and what you can be doing. And I did a lot of work with some folks over at Service Leadership, Peter Kajawa specifically, and best-in-class MSPs add cybersecurity into their standard offerings. And those best-in-class MSPs got it. And bottom line is, your clients expect you to be doing it. You should be doing it, and you should be very open about their risks, their gaps, and how to fill it. And if they don't want to believe you, and if you don't want to talk about the gaps in your own solution, bring in third parties to test vulnerability, make recommendations to your client, and ultimately to yourself to fix those gaps and join those best-in-class MSPs and deliver cyber security managed services. So hopefully you're enjoying the content so far. I'm going to bring up our second polling question here, and then hopefully bring you back in, because we're going to we're going to kind of go into it a little bit, Security Operations Center, or SOC, and what you must consider when delivering SOC services. So got a poll up there now. Are you delivering SOC services to your clients? And maybe you have an in-house SOC. I've certainly seen MSPs building that SOC infrastructure. I do see partners working with a third party or a single SOC vendor out there. I also see MSPs and partners out there working with multiple SOC vendors. And we're going to kind of touch on that and the complexity around it. And maybe you're not delivering SOC services, but perhaps you're here to learn more, and we're kind of here to give you that information, help you make that decision. So again, as far as the Security Operations Center, I think we see here one of the options is multiple SOC vendors. If you think about that, it's almost like your client dealing with multiple NOCs or service desks, and you as an MSP try to centralize the calls and any alerts, events, and incidents into your NOC so your service desk can react. And I think a SOC, you kind of have to be thinking that too. What's that single point of entry? So I'd love to have another vote or two and get us up over 60% again. So if you're out there, maybe having a cup of coffee. In fact, I'm going to take a sip right now. Give me a second. What is a SOC is our next topic. So again, thanks for sharing. We're going to close this poll, and let's share it and see what we've got. So 40% have an in-house SOC. That's actually a pretty high percentage, way higher than what I've done when I've seen in the past. 20% with a single SOC vendor, and 20% with multiple, and 20% here to learn more. So great to hear. Let's hide that poll and move on. So what is a Security Operations Center, and what do you need to consider when delivering them? So a SOC is responsible for managing cybersecurity processes and identifying, investigating anomalies, alerts, and to help you as an MSP or your client, depending on how you implement it, remediate those security incidents, delivering focused threat detection and response capabilities. Again, I always try to look at a SOC, and if you're familiar with your own NOC, and people have outsourced their NOC and help desk, they have an in-house NOC and help desk. SOC is focused on cybersecurity, and really it's driven, the building of a SOC internally, your clients taking it on is really based on their business risk and the priorities in their business, or where they want to spend money. We're going to kind of touch on it in a second. So it's an investment for you. It's also an investment in a service by your client. And SOCs are not necessarily a physical place. Certainly COVID pushed that, along with many other applications moving to the cloud and users moving home and working from different places. There are a lot more gaps out there. There are a lot more opportunities for bad actors to get in, and a SOC is no different. People started working remote, and with everything based in the cloud, your SIEM solution and various cyber solutions in the cloud, it's kind of helped that evolution happen with a rapid digital transformation, not only opening doors for bad actors, but opening doors for providers as well. And Gartner, again, I would like to bring these third party. Gartner defines SOC as an organizational function responsible for managing processes designed to identify, investigate, and remediate security incidents. So, again, SOCs are focused on cyber, and your NOC is focused on the infrastructure. And a SOC can be very costly. What does it cost to build a SOC? Well, you've got a tech stack you got to put in place, usually separate line items. You got your SIEM cost, you've got IDP, IDS costs, you've got a lot of different costs, DLP, endpoint detection, you've got a lot. And basically, the people interacting with those tools, looking at the alerts, are the folks sitting in your SOC, interacting with those tools, interacting with you, the MSP, and or your clients. And much like your service desk, your help desk, you got tier 1, 2, and 3 resources, each more expensive than the other. You got a manager running the SOC. And in fact, if you look at some of these costs, and certainly I believe I could have put these costs down. I think most of you out there can figure it out. Pierluigi has his own SOC. We could have done it, but I always like to get third-party kind of support in what we're talking about here. And if you look at, we've got 3 levels here shared by NetSurian: basic, intermediate, and advanced SOC costs across technology and labor. And you could see ranging from 1.5 million on up to 5 million plus, and a 24/7 operation, 12 dedicated employees, and infrastructure and tools to support 5,000 users. That's actually a basic SOC, or excuse me, on up to an advanced SOC cost to build one. So very important to understand not only what it costs to build a SOC, but are you doing it right? I know a lot of you, 40% of you, are using an in-house SOC, but it's really important, to understand how a SOC operates. And do you have 24/7 coverage? Do you have multiple shifts? You don't want burnout. You don't want, a workday SOC. You want 24/7 SOC operations. And as you build your SOC, or as you look at delivering SOC as a service, can you build it? Again, 40% of you seem to have built it. Are you partnering with multiple SOCs? I think we got 20% that did that. Are you partnering with one SOC vendor? 20% of you said that. And are you going to buy one, right? And in fact, I'm working with a couple of MSP consolidators right now, and one of the things that they're doing and that I see happening is they buy a MSSP as their SOC, as their cyber security provider to the rest of their portfolio companies. And as they buy an MSP, it gives them access to that client base to deliver cybersecurity services. So there are folks out there buying MSSPs, making it a part of their organization. But typically you're seeing that in PE funded ventures, larger MSPs who may have a SOC or who can afford to buy one. So you can see some of the stats here. 2025, 90% of SOCs in the global 2000 will use a hybrid model. Some will outsource 50% of the operational workload. So again, you've got hybrid SOC models out there that combine, and we're going to touch on that in a second. By 2025, 33% of organizations that have internal SOC functions or internal security functions will look to build a SOC and fail due to resource constraints, lack of budget, expertise, and staffing. So a lot to consider when you talk about a SOC. So we've touched on SIEM, SOC, now MDR, and how MDR brings SIEM and SOC to life for MSPs. And I always ask, are you an MSP delivering cybersecurity services? Are you an MSSP focused on cybersecurity and maybe less on the business side of your client base? Maybe you're not dealing with CRM or business applications, but you kind of have to decide. Certainly an MSP can deliver cybersecurity services, call themselves an MSSP, however you end up doing it. Just realize MSSPs are really focused on cybersecurity, and if you're an MSP kind of dabbling in it, that's not really a great way to approach it. So what is managed detection and response? Again, Gartner, always like to look to Gartner, Forrester, folks like that. MDR services provide your customers with remotely delivered, human-led, turnkey modern SOC functions, ultimately delivering threat disruption and containment. So it's not just about identifying anomalies and incidents, but in fact, responding and making things happen. And one of the nice things is, as an MSP, you're managing that tech infrastructure. If you build your own MDR capabilities, or if you go partner with third parties, you can take whatever is going on and recover from it. You do have access to the backups. You're making the backups, hopefully. You understand, how to have a failover, a DR solution to keep folks running should an attack happen. But hopefully by, disrupting a threat, it will not impact the organization. But MDR is all about minimizing the impact of a successful attack. And of course, needing access to your stack or the, whatever you've got out there in your client base, your cyber stack. I don't know if you consider your BDR a cyber solution, maybe that's an additional solution, but it's all about, detecting, responding to threats. And you can either augment internal IT for your larger organization. We talked about the hybrid model Gartner's predicting, or perhaps it's you dealing with, building out MDR and really building out your own MDR function. But what you can see here again from 2023 Gartner Market Guide for MDR services, by 2025, 60% of organizations will be actively using remote threat disruption and containment capabilities delivered directly by an MDR provider. So it is increasing. You are going to perhaps use a third party to help you and support you and augment your efforts and continually work with you. And I've been talking NOC and help desk, and what you see here, NOC and service desk is your core MSP service. You've been doing it for years, reactive, proactive, giving your end users a place to call when they have a problem, being that single point of contact, and sometimes outsourcing to a strategic vendor partner. And when you talk about a SOC, here's your service desk, from the previous slide, providing these NOC and help desk services. Well, you got to look at an MDR partner working within your SOC or within a SOC. Accessing that cybersecurity stack is a very focused function around cybersecurity, threat management, risk management, responding as a separate entity to your NOC and help desk. And in fact, works very tightly with your service desk. And there has to be great communication. If you're out there working with a third-party SOC or multiple SOCs, how well do they work with your team? Are you giving them access to your clients, or you're making them work with you so you could go interact with your clients? So again, communication is key in a hybrid SOC model, but are you able to deliver a true MDR capability with so many cybersecurity solutions out there, so much cost involved with a SOC? Just take a look how you're doing it now, if you're doing it right, and maybe you need to augment what you're doing or just outsource to a third party. So some considerations as you're building out your practice. Again, you built it yourself, but are you doing it right? Do you have 724? Are you building it by evaluating vendors, developing product knowledge? Are you out there hiring and retaining cyber engineers? We know there's a talent shortage. Last I read, it was about 250,000 shortage on cyber engineers. The ongoing training and certifications, and more importantly, ISO certifications, PCI attestations, very costly as you build out your SOC, and certainly certifications you're going to be asked about, as I've seen working with MSSPs myself. So while you might get a better ROI building it yourself over the long term, it is in fact a long-term effort. And is a risk worth the squeeze, or do you have the time to waste? Or do you go outsource to a trusted partner, maybe an MSSP who can deliver it on your behalf? They already have their stack. You don't have to worry about teaching your team all of the cyber solutions out there to protect your client. simplifying your stack as you consolidate cybersecurity maybe with one vendor. And while it's interesting how you simplify and consolidate your stack and expand your offerings at the same time, because you may partner and outsource with a trusted third party who not only provides SOC services, but perhaps ready-to-use marketing assets and pre-sale support that can help you win business. They already have the certifications in place. And if you're looking to build or continue to build on your offerings, this will serve as a bridge to practice building as you manage that vendor, learn how they operate. You can go to school as you build your own MDR, SOC, and SIEM offerings. So here we see your typical MSP using the RMM, again, to build managed services, perhaps using a PSA or ticketing system, and charging per user for some minimal set of services. And of course, I work with MSPs out there doing $200 and $300 per user. This is just an example to give you kind of a framework. And as you build out your cyber stack around MDR, SOC, and cybersecurity monitoring based on SIEM, you can see that you can quickly increase your MRR from $50 a seat to $123 a seat, generating much more MRR and increasing your profit to $12,500 just by adding cybersecurity services. And I always remind folks, please don't deploy solutions for free. Don't rely on that MRR to cover your cost to deploy a solution. You should be deploying it with a project and some implementation fees. So we're kind of at the point now we want to bring in Pierluigi to kind of chat a little bit about how you can seize the opportunity with SIEM, SOC, and MDR services with NetworkBox USA. Hopefully we've provided some solid education for you. So Pierluigi, welcome, jumping back in. Looks like we've taken quite a bit of time, unfortunately, but we've left you 10 minutes of time to kind of talk through your offerings and how you might tie back to what we just shared.
Yes, so let's to understand the NetworkBox offering, I want to make a point around the things that you've been talking about, right? We're talking about SIEM, SOC, MDR, EDR, XDR, and in our view, these things are one together. I could see the SIEM as something separate, because if I just build a product and I can just put it on the market and say, do what you want with it. But the others are services, and these services are correlated with each other. I've seen companies that only offer MDR, or they only offer a SOC, or they don't have the threat intelligence. This makes it really complicated. For an MSP, you're gonna go around and buy threat intelligence from someone and a SOC from somebody else, and maybe I've seen 20% with more than one SOC, and then an MDR from another company. Your life becomes really complicated, and the result that you get is a not well-oiled machine that probably doesn't work very well. What we offer is the integration of all these things together. I haven't heard you talk about correlation engine, but one of the most important things about all of this is a proper correlation engine that can integrate data from not just your client one, but all of your clients globally, and possibly the provider's clients from other MSPs globally, to allow to create rules and a database of rules that actually look at the entire globe and can trigger alerts much earlier in the process, right? This is very important.
Well, hopefully, Pierluigi, the attendees did listen to the earlier part where I did talk about correlation engine.
It's true. But so you get rules, when you partner with us, you inherit 2,000 rules that are already there, or more at this point. That are already there. There are global rules. There are looking at events from every one of our clients globally. You inherit NetworkBox was named by Microsoft as one of the best threat intelligence providers in the globe, and then this correlation engine looking at everybody. So we do use machine learning. I don't like talking about artificial intelligence, really. I talk more about machine learning. So you get this global integration, and you have all the functions in one place. You don't have to worry about, oh dear, I forgot the XDR, I gotta go find somebody else, right? It's all there. NetworkBox gives you the SIEM, the rules, the SOCs, actually we have 16 globally, We have it gives you the threat intelligence, gives you the whole solution, right? In this chart, in this slide, you don't say XDR, but I don't want to spend time going over the difference, because if you Google it, there are different opinions about it. But I call it XDR because I like to integrate everything, as you correctly said earlier. Everything that has an IP on the network needs to be integrated. And also, you mentioned the IDS that we often forget. The layer 3 is often a source of very important information for the CM. Obviously, our CM brings everything off-site. It's a completely cloud-based, but most of them are finally moving in the direction today. It's the obvious thing to do. We keep 3 copies of every data point that we bring in, right? One of the things that are very important here that you haven't discussed is the certifications, right? Our SOCs have.
Again, hopefully everyone else was listening when I talked about certifications, Pierluigi, but definitely a big important part.
Very important part, yes. ISO certifications, or 4 ISO certifications, PCI attestation. In the US, we also have SOC certification because we deal with a lot of banks. So these are things that cost a lot of money. Just to give you an idea, just getting to ISO to 27001, 20,000 and 9,001 cost us $2 million the first time. And these people come every 3 months to recertify us. Okay? You can find an amiable auditor that will give you the certification for less money, but if you really want to do it, or you really want to do it seriously, these things cost a lot of money, and they cost money over time. Okay, so all of these things are available immediately when you become a partner of NetworkBox, overnight. Like, you sign up today, tomorrow morning you start deploying solutions, and we take care of the problem, of the work for you. Right now, in this slide, you show a lot more, because NetworkBox is a global provider of cybersecurity for 20 years, offers much more than just the SIEM. We have offered the traditional perimeter defense, which over time has evolved towards a SASE model with SD-WAN and the secure web gateway. We have offered the WAF for a very long time. Everything that we do is integrated into the same platform, where the SOC is the primary element. So in reality, even if you don't buy the CM SOC from us, you still get the CM SOC when you buy the perimeter defense. You just get it only for the perimeter. The reason why it's separated and the CM is called CM Plus in this slide is because that means that you're buying the full solution of the CM to monitor everything on a network. But if you get the perimeter defense from us, whether you get it as a UTM or a SASE solution, you still get a SOC, the SOC and the threat intelligence and everything else in those black boxes, and the CM for 90 days. Okay, so very, very important. You get
the full SIM solution, but it's only connecting to the NetworkBox offerings. Correct. And it's not collecting more than 90 days of rolling data across the NetworkBox solution.
If you become a full CM client, then you get the whole thing that we're talking about.
And then
what I'm trying to point out is basically NetworkBox can provide.
If I'm an MSP and I do SIM Plus, then I'm able to connect or ingest logs across all my stack.
And you won't. Anybody, and even somebody else's firewalls. Okay, so we're not trying to force our firewalls to you. Each one of these solutions is independent while being fully integrated into the others, right? So we, as a company, we can become your almost only cybersecurity provider, from perimeter all the way to reputation. And this slide will be updated because we are bringing in training and vulnerability scanning into the fold. But at the same time, you don't have to. Right, you can keep doing whatever you're doing with perimeter and buy the CM SOC, MDR, XDR for NetworkBox, for example. Do you want to?
Obviously, a complete roster of solutions aligned with Gartner's SASE offering. Okay.
Yes.
I think, much like some vendors are acquiring and consolidating, but they're still point solutions. The fact that you're a proprietary stack,
correct.
You've got a unified GUI that can manage across all of your stack, which to me is so unique, and I don't see it out there. I do see a
It is
couple of.
actually not another company that I know of that does it, because there are companies that will offer you the products, as in they will offer you the SIEM product and the edge protection product and the WAF product, but none of these companies offer the services. Right? NetworkBox is the only company that I'm aware of globally to offer this fully integrated solution. It's like a nice puzzle that fits very well together when you buy all of it. You don't have to buy all of it, but if you do, it really fits nicely together.
So a complete portfolio of cybersecurity and networking services that a partner can deploy, essentially can become a partner overnight, and you do all the configuration. I know I've worked with you. We've got configuration forms all an MSP has to do, and they sign up a new client, which we will help them sell. You will help them sell.
Yes, of course.
They'll fill out a form with some config information. You configure any devices, any cloud settings. You ship any devices, they plug it in, they're ready to go, and then your SOC, your SIEM, all going to work. And then you'll work and interface with that MSP if you see anomalies or alerts, or you'll work directly with their clients.
It's whatever the MSP chooses to do, we do it with them. We want to become an extension of their team, their partners. So if they want us to work directly with the customer, we will. But honestly, we prefer to work with MSP to build a relationship with their people, and over time it makes our job easier. We only have a minute, so I don't know if we want to go into the detail of this slide, but this is everything that we do with the SIEM. We integrate data from everything on the network. We bring in the global security intelligence feeds, right? We partner with 170 partners for threat intelligence. We produce our own. As I mentioned before, we have Microsoft says that we're one of the best in the world, and then all of this goes into the SIEM engine, into the correlation engine, which uses machine learning and rules for determining if there is an anomaly and raising an alert. Obviously, we also store it for as long as the client wants it. 90 days in line, where you can go and create reports. We have a lot of the CMMC reports. We have a lot of banking reports. We have a lot of reports of all kinds. We create reports for clients, new reports every day that we make available for everybody. And at the same time, after 90 days, they get moved to cold storage for long-term storage.
The anatomy of the SIEM looks pretty intense here. I know we talk about honeypots out there, 250,000 around the world, gathering threat intelligence, spam traps, other partners, as well as all the info collected from clients, partners who've deployed SIEM. So you see network box systems as well as other appliances, like you said before. So really looking solid. Let's kind of take a look then quick, Pierluigi, on, I think we've touched on SOC, the fact that, it's fed by global threat intelligence, your certifications, PCI compliance, live resources, all going to work. And you mentioned in reports. So anything you want to share here?
This is the user interface that's available. It's one global user interface that will show all your data in one place. Like, this is important, especially if you're a client also of our edge defense. We have clients with like 50 devices because they're using our secure SD-WAN plus secure web gateway plus the SIEM. All of the data can be daunting, but then you go to the SIEM and all the data is there. You get one nice report consolidated, one KPI report from the same place. You can get 50 of them if you want to. The boxes are still capable of giving you reports. But if you are a large organization with a lot of devices, getting 50 reports every Monday morning can be daunting. So the nice integration into the SIEM allows us to send one report for everything, right?
So bottom line is NetworkBox USA has a tremendous value prop, if I may say so myself. You help partners protect themselves and their clients with minimal investment in people, processing, technology, because you do networking and cybersecurity for the partner with your proprietary stack of done-for-you services aligned with SASE, your SOCs, your unique SRC with world-class threat intelligence, all about accelerating partner revenue and delivering peace of mind to them and their clients. And Pierluigi, I wanted to get one last polling question in there for our attendees. and let's see if we've done a good enough job here, Pierluigi. You know, if you've heard enough here to make you want to chat with Pierluigi a little further, let us know right here. You know, we can contact you right away, 30, 60, 90 days. We still got a bunch of attendees out there. We want us to contact you in a little bit, or know you're kind of good and you're just here to learn, and perhaps you need to go check internally. So why don't you share a little bit with us if you in fact are looking for help, maybe looking for another SOC partner. Maybe you don't have one and you want to get started. Maybe you want to supplement or augment what you're doing, but it's definitely an option here. Of course, I know Pierluigi would love to work with you all, as would I. And let's kind of get a couple more answers in there. We're almost at 60%. And, you know, we've got, you know, it's 12:03, Pierluigi. I think we've got, you know, enough responses here. We appreciate you all responding. I will close the poll and kind of get us to our next steps and end the webinar. And, you know, your next steps, review your client base and opportunities to implement, consolidate your SIEM, SOC, and MDR services. Maybe you're going to consider partnering with NetworkBox to deliver those services and grow your stack overnight. And if you're interested, you can also email partners@NetworkBox.USA to get started. So with that, we appreciate you joining us. We hope we shared some great information. I always like to congratulate folks for joining us. Instead of you know, working on their business or in their business, you're working on improving it. Pierluigi, any last words as we drop?
No, not really. This was a very, very good webinar, and I hope that our audience enjoyed it and learned something. Obviously, from my point of view, we are the sponsor. We hope to hear from some of you and do business together. But if nothing else, we hope that it's going to be useful to your business.
Well, thank you very much, Pierluigi. Appreciate the sponsorship. And again, have a great day out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.